Week 6 is officially underway. Thursday Night Football just finished here about 30 minutes ago, so we are hopping on live right afterwards. Interesting game. We'll jump right into it. We are the only playbook. I'm Sweetcar. Got Shovit here. Happy Thursday. Jumping into Friday, guys. How are we doing?
Dude, we got a big Nepali holiday coming up tomorrow.
That's right.
Excited to see you guys again tomorrow.
Heck yeah. Happy Dassain to all our Nepali listeners.
It's basically our Christmas, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
It is the Nepali Christmas.
Money-making time.
Money-giving time for me.
Yeah, not for us. We don't jump into all the logistics there because it's quite complicated, but we appreciate you guys joining us. Episode 11, we'll recap Thursday Night Football, as we just mentioned, just ended. Great game. Jump into Week 6 slate of games that are happening on Sunday and Monday. Again, first things first, always want to shout you guys out. Social media engagement has been fantastic. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. We are on Anchor FM, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. The questions, the comments, everything has been fantastic. We encourage more and more of it. That's really the premise of what we do, is we want to talk to you guys and hear what you think. So,
yeah, we're already 6 weeks now into football, and you guys are going to miss this when it's gone. So enjoy it while it's still here.
Yeah. What are we going to talk about then after that?
I don't know. Football's not 365, so we'll have to figure out a way to make it 365 or come up with something else. But nonetheless, this has been a treat so far 6 weeks in. We're like a third of the season in now. Yeah. So still got 2/3 to go. So hopefully we're ramping up into some intense slate of games and weeks with a lot of implications heading into possible playoffs. But again, like we mentioned, keep coming with the engagement. We're the only playbook pretty much on every platform except Twitter, where we're only playbook. So again, any subscriptions, likes, if you see our YouTube videos, certainly appreciate the thumbs up as well. And let us know feedback. Tell us what you want to hear, what kind of segments you want to see us talk about, how goofy you guys want us to be or not. If you guys want us to be super freaking serious, we can do that too. So we're here for all the feedback, and we just want to put out what you guys want to hear. So certainly appreciate that. Let's jump right into Thursday Night Football. Just wrapped up. It was a big game for all three of us. All three of us had pretty intense fantasy implications with guys playing, and I don't know. For some of us, maybe it did live up to the hype. Some of us, not so much. But the Bucs were at the Eagles here, right? Bucs and Eagles, Thursday Night Football. Eagles pretty much coming in 2-3 with a lot of question marks. Their wins have been sloppy. Their losses have been sloppier. Tampa Bay 4-1, kind of taking care of business. And game ends up closer than kind of how it was going the entirety of the game. What did you guys think here with Tampa Bay taking it 28-22?
Yeah, in the first half, it seemed like the Buccaneers were just going to have their way with the Eagles, and, it was 14-0, and it just didn't – that wasn't the storyline of this game. It was like
what was the storyline of this game?
Leonard Fournette.
Yeah, exactly. Leonard Fournette and the Buccaneers deciding to run the ball instead of throwing it to their – all their options that they have. The only guy I want to say that as from their three receiving core that did well was Antonio Brown. 9 receptions, 93 yards, 1 touchdown. Mike Evans, not so much, 2 receptions, 27 yards. Chris Godwin, 5 receptions, 43 yards. What's that? 9.3 yards, 9.3 points PPR. So, Leonard Fournette, 22 carries, 81 yards, 2 touchdowns. They just kept feeding it to him over and over again. I know we were getting frustrated because we've got some implications there on the receiving side, but just didn't see it that way.
Yeah, they ran the ball well, but that looked like why they almost lost the game too.
Yeah,
it's a new age NFL, and we all know that you got to run the ball to set up the pass and whatnot. But that's looking less and less true as we go on with these seasons. There's teams out here like the Bills and the Chiefs who just don't believe in the run. The Chiefs have started to believe in the run a little bit, but maybe that's why they're losing.
Yep.
I don't know. But, clearly Tom Brady had this game under his belt. He knew exactly what to do. And then they found this weakness in this who's supposed to be a pretty good run-stopping D. They have Fletcher Cox and all these run-stoppers on there. But they had their way against these guys, and they found this formula with Leonard Fournette to just pound it, milk the clock. And it ended up working out.
Yeah, I think this is weird, right? You just talked about the Chiefs. They run the ball a lot, or they're trying to establish the run more because they're such a Patrick Mahomes reliant offense, and now they're 2-3. And the Bucs win this game, but like you said, they scored 14 points in the blink of an eye with Tom Brady literally just airing it out, right? And so you wonder, you just wonder. It's 14-0 already, like 7 minutes into the game. why take your foot off the gas when they've clearly shown the inability to stop you, right? That puts way less stress on your team in the third, fourth quarter. You probably would have gotten Blaine Gabbert in the game and Brady could have sat. But running the ball, it sucks because it definitely was working. They were gashing the Eagles for like 5-6 yards a carry, so it's not like it wasn't working. But yes, they controlled the clock. Time of possession was insane. They were 39-56, almost 40 minutes they had the ball. So they had the ball twice as much, twice as long as the Eagles, but only won by 6, right? So it's almost like if they have the ball less, it's because they're scoring so quickly, and then their wins are like, by a larger margin. So what's the formula for success? Because you don't want to have Tom Brady have to come onto the field and get a couple of first downs at the end when at the first 6 minutes of this game, this looked like it could have been like a rout.
Yeah, and Eagles defense at times in that third quarter, they were making stops and had the opportunity to, come back and make a statement. I know after the halftime, what was it, like 28-14, I believe. They could 28-14, and they go up, they score 28-21,
and they go for 2.
Right,
28-20, and they go for 2.
There were times that it looked like, even before they scored that touchdown to get to 28-14, that they could have made some opportunities for themselves. And if Jalen Hurts just kind of gets the offense going, gives it to maybe Devontae Smith or has Miles Sanders in the running game has some more opportunities there, then they have chance to do better. But I just didn't see that offense rolling from the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to point fingers at Jalen Hurts here. The man's running, probably scrambling every single play.
That's a good point, yeah.
Receivers are dropping passes. It's evident throughout all these games we've been watching. The ball gets to them. There's a couple bad throws here and there, but which quarterback doesn't have bad throws? But the balls that get to the NFL receivers' hands need to be caught. And, it's just you can't. This is the formula they've been running with. They don't like running the ball, which is what we just talked about. We win games by throwing the ball, but you can't win when the receivers aren't catching the ball. And Jalen Hurts, needs to sit in the pocket and throw more. He's just scrambling like a chicken with his head cut off every single play. Yeah, that helps sometimes, but you can't establish a certain type of play for 4 quarters with running for your life every game.
That's not a game plan, right?
No.
That's improvisation that can only happen in the flow of the game, and it only works at times. It's not like you can't drop back and improvise like, hey, Russell Wilson, every single play you're dropping back and improvising. That's not a recipe for success long term. So it just sucks because we've seen the Eagles offense these last 3-4 weeks come alive in the fourth quarter, come alive in the second half, and it's just like all those opportunities they had throughout the game, like, why are they not stepping up? And it just keeps hitting home that they need a veteran receiver, somebody that you can trust to go to them in third downs, in crucial situations, right, when they have to have a catch. And it's like they don't have a big guy to go up and catch passes. They just have small, quick guys that can't separate. And it's just becoming troublesome. And again, these games end up being closer than what kind of played out because of the end in the fourth quarters, but they're not really feeling like they're really in any of these games, even though the scores are close.
Yeah, that big guy that you mentioned for the Eagles was Zach Ertz.
Yep.
Right. 6 targets, 4 receptions, and a touchdown. The only receiving touchdown that they had, and Zach Ertz was the guy there.
Yeah, so, I mean, nonetheless, the Eagles stay sloppy. They're 2-4 now. They're 0-3 at home, right? Teams that are supposed to win games at home. They're 0-3 at home now. Tampa Bay's now 5-1, and they're looking good. They're taking care of business. So, again, going opposite directions, you still have a lot of promise in Hurts. He needs help around him. They need more consistency. And, towards the end, they showed that if they run the ball, it works. Maybe because they're passing 99% of the time and no one's expecting it, but you have to establish some sort of run game. Take some pressure off of Hurts.
Yeah, there's got to be some.
Yeah, you have to keep the defense honest. If they're literally playing, let's just stop the pass every single time, or if it's a run, it's only a read option. That's the only play they run where Miles Sanders can touch the ball, then it's so predictable.
There was one rushing attempt in all of the first half to Miles Sanders. So that's not going to cut it.
That's absolutely not going to cut it.
And in the second half, when Miles Sanders did get the ball, I mean, he had some plays that kind of looked
because
flashy.
the defense didn't see it coming.
Right.
From a fantasy perspective, it's nice to see Hurts out there. It was the first quarter, and I was like, this guy's going to end up with 25 points. He's playing like crap, but this is just classic Eagles play. From a fantasy perspective, I can't be upset at that. I'm a Hurts owner. Getting 25 points, having the worst games he's had, really bad games the last few games, and it just ends up being 25. If this is the floor, then what is the ceiling? And in order to get that, you got to get some sort of run game to get some pressure off of them.
Yeah, it is. I mean, 25 points from Hurts on a game that it felt like the Eagles were extremely sloppy in, so you absolutely have to be happy about that. But everything else from a fantasy perspective on the Eagles outside of maybe Hurts was disappointing. Devontae Smith, Jalen Reagor, nothing. Like you said, a lot of balls that were there that, you expect big league receivers to be able to catch. Yes, I know the defense is there, but at what level in the NFL our defense is just not going to be there?
Right.
That doesn't exist.
And they're also playing against like backups.
Yes, that's the other thing. The cornerbacks for Tampa Bay, Richard Sherman was like their only viable guy, and he got hurt
And
second
he's like
quarter.
10 years older than everybody else.
And so how are these guys not getting separation? It's just really, really disappointing to see. Again, score ends up being close. For bettors, Eagles bettors who took the Eagles +7 were probably extremely happy and somewhat wondering why the Eagles decided to go for 2 at the end there.
Yeah, that was crazy. I mean, I think there's a conspiracy here. Like, you don't have to go for 2. There's no
there's
reason
literally
to.
no benefit reason whatsoever.
So I mean, it's a bet, and it didn't really. We don't know if it would have paid off or not because of that taunting call that was kind of ridiculous as well.
A lot of pass interferences not getting called on
He's
Tom
so
Brady's side.
touchy, man.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, nonetheless, Eagles cover the spread at +7. The under hits. It was at 50, and the Tampa Bay Bucs were in field goal range for like 4 minutes. So over bettors were probably chomping, thinking that they had that one. But of course, Tom Brady just kneels it. Classic Tom. He's like, I have to be in winning formula or winning position to be able to seal this deal. So the under hits at 52.5. Again, Tampa Bay moves to 5-1. They're heading in the right direction. Eagles 2-4. Need to win a freaking game at home. So just heading in the wrong direction with the Cowboys in that division looking absolutely stellar. Let's jump into basically what we want to talk about first is we have all these games on Sunday and Monday that we want to preview. First thing first, let's talk about injuries and kind of what implications we have. I know we've been putting pretty much just about every injury out on Twitter, so please check us out on Twitter at OnlyPlaybook. But latest stuff that we just kind of have come to our attention, talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, this illness bug has been running around, whether it's COVID or not, we don't know. But Josh Jacob today was, there's been some news that he had some sort of illness. We don't know what it is. If it's COVID, he's going to be sidelined. If it's not, then he doesn't have to be sidelined. It could just be, some sort of other sort of viral illness. We don't know. Damian Williams, however, Bears running back, he actually was positive for COVID today, so he will be sidelined. He will not play this game, which means Herbie fully loaded part 2.
Khalil Herbert.
Herbert's season is, again, in full effect because I don't see why you won't start a run-first team's primary running back.
Yep.
So we don't know if he can catch the ball very well, which is necessary for Fields to get out of some pressures, but we'll see. Richard Sherman just left this game. We mentioned that. He had a hammy. I was told it was a hammy, so he might be gone for a while. We don't know. Russell Wilson, limited at practice.
What? He's already there?
6 days after the surgery.
Wild.
What? That is wild.
Who are these doctors?
This is insane.
Is it the doctors or is it his body that's just
think about it like this. Okay? He's fine. 98% of his body's fine, right?
Yeah.
It's just one part of his body that's not fine. So if you just protect the hell out of that middle finger, then, he can do all of his drills. He can still stay physically fit.
Mm-hmm.
He's just got to be ready for the game time.
Yeah.
So I guess he's doing that. The limitation is what that is. He's not participating in first-team drills, but he's out there just playing. He's probably still lifting weights, But he's out there. That's insane. I'm a doctor, and this is insane to me. Like, I did not see this coming.
That's insane.
So, Russell Wilson out there. Dalvin Cook, full participant. So all signs point to fully unleashing that beast. Daniel Jones, limited in non-contact practice. So
still dealing with the concussion?
Yeah. So I guess they don't want him to hit his head again during practice. So this non-contact stuff. I'm pretty confident he's going to play this game. And then CMC, Christian McCaffrey, not spotted at practice after being limited last couple times. They're just toying with Christian McCaffrey owners at this point. Is he going to play? Is he not? This is going to be a true game time decision unless something crazy happens Saturday and they're like, nope, he's not playing. But, if you're an NFL team and you have this weapon that everybody has to prepare for, it's better to say we don't know if he's going to play or not, because that takes away all that time they have to prepare just for that guy, and it's going to go to waste if he doesn't play. So I see why they're doing that strategy.
Chess match here.
Yeah. But yeah, that's it as far as major stuff that happened recently. It is Thursday, like I mention this all the time, but Friday it gets a little better, but Saturday you get most of your, the meat of all the injuries there. So just stay tuned again, like we mentioned, on our Twitter account, which is our main source of our injury news. So tomorrow and Saturday, everything will be updated. You'll have all the top of the line latest news on there.
Yep. So that's going to be the slew of injuries. Again, like you mentioned, it's Thursday. We have Friday, Saturday still before our Sunday slated games, which kicks off early again this week with the London game. So again, there's going to be a lot of stuff that comes out that we'll try to update you guys as quickly as we can. So at Only Playbook on Twitter. Next segment here, let's jump right into the segment, buy stock, sell stock, and give you 2 players that I'm buying this week, 2 players that I am selling. My first buy on the board is going to be Mike Gesicki, tight end for the Dolphins. Mike Gesicki is facing the Jaguars in London. That's going to be our London game this week. The Jaguars are 25th against opposing tight ends so far this season. Gesicki saw 18% target share last week. Devontae Parker was not at practice today. So that's already Devontae Parker. We already know Will Fuller's out for sure. Mm-hmm. So that leaves Jalen Waddle, who, again, as a rookie, as a smaller guy, he's not seeing the level of targets that a traditional, probably first-round rookie should see. Not to the fault of his own, but they've had a quarterback carousel. They don't know if Tua's going to come back. But nonetheless, Mike Gesicki is going to be a valuable play this week because him and Gaskin is pretty much all the Dolphins' offense has at this point. The Jags last week gave up a touchdown to backup tight end McCole Pruitt 2 weeks ago. Uzomah had 2 touchdowns 4 weeks ago. Noah Fant had a touchdown. And first week of the season, Chris Manhertz, the backup tight end, had a touchdown. So they love giving up tight ends touchdowns, which means I really, really like Mike Gesicki this week.
Yeah, I like that. Given the fact that with all the injuries, Devontae Parker, you said, is out, there's just more opportunities for him to get the targets and get the yards and maybe even touchdowns.
They got to go somewhere.
We
saw Gaskin with like how many 11 targets or 10 targets, 10 catches last week.
Yeah.
And so unless they plan on feeding him 25 times, there's got to be the ball going somewhere else.
Yeah. And also don't forget at the other end, Jacksonville is getting better and better every week. They're running the ball more. They're going to score points. I feel like what's his name?
Robinson?
No, Lawrence. He's improving. You can clearly say that he's improving every game. So I think this is going to be one of his better games playing against a weak Miami defense. So Miami's going to be forced to keep up, and Gaskin in the red zone is probably their best option at this time. Or not Gaskin, sorry, Gesicki.
Yep.
In the red zone is probably their best option at this time. So yeah, I don't see why he would be placed in a don't start situation.
Yeah, absolutely. For that reason, all those reasons, I am buying Mike Gesicki this week. My first sell on the board is going to be selling Josh Jacobs, running back for the Las Vegas Raiders. They're playing Denver this week. Denver is 3rd against opposing running backs. We already know about all of the drama and all the crap that's going on inside the locker room with the whole John Gruden stuff. That's obviously got to be a distraction, whether they want to, they want it to be or not. It's a pretty big deal. So I just factored that in. The fact that they actually found that out Friday before last week's game, and then we wondered why they laid a dud with the Bears. Mm-hmm. Typically at home, not in a position or a spot where typically the Raiders would lay a dud. So already questioning those things. Has all those distractions and all the external noise gone away? We don't know. Offense looked completely out of sync. So, again, don't know what to expect. Jacob still doesn't seemingly look 100%. He's coming off of that injury, and now he is sick. He is, like you just mentioned, on that non-injured related illness list. If that is COVID, then he's probably for sure between now and then going to have to be out because the testing won't get done in time. And if it's not, again, it could be any other viral sort of infection that could also prevent him from playing or hinder him even slightly, right? All those factors considered, there's really no urgency for the Raiders to have to force Jacobs back. Barber clearly showed he's capable when getting the workhorse carry, and you still have Drake, who basically just breathes on the sidelines and gets paid $1 million. So there's already reassurance there, so there's no need to rush him. He hasn't gotten 20-plus carries yet, even when he's been back. All those reasons and factors considered, I am selling Josh Jacobs this week.
Okay.
Any thoughts on that?
Sure.
Yeah, no. You can disagree. This is open forum. If you're like, I love Josh Jacobs.
No, I don't disagree. I just there's a lot of people that can't have the option of benching him.
Sure. Yeah. Sure.
This late in the season, there's been tons of running back injuries. You would be very. It's good for you if you have a backup that you can start instead of him.
Yeah.
But like I said, there's a lot of injuries going on, so it's not like it's almost a luxury at this point to be able to bench a player like that. But if you do have somebody else, for all those reasons you mentioned, you haven't been getting what you bought into. Yep. You're not getting 20 carries. No. Jacobs was a gimme 20 carries, and we thought that wasn't going to happen because of Drake.
Yep.
And that's not why he's not getting 20 carries. I'm pretty sure I think it's his toe, right? Mm-hmm. Turf toes, historically, are just a menace to running backs. They just linger on forever. Because you're like, every time you walk, all this weight, at the end of it all, like it's like force transfer, right? Mm-hmm. You transfer your force to your most distal parts of your body when you're walking. And the most distal part of your body is your toe. So like with every step, with every run, with every juke, all that force goes into that toe. So I don't know how much longer he's going to be able to it's going to take him a while before he's 100%.
Yep.
Yeah. For that reason, I'd say, you could have a case to sell Josh Jacobs. For me, and this may be a little bit of recency bias, and I'll be honest with that, but the Steelers, right? That's who they played last week. Then Denver played last week, and Najee Harris, had over 100 yards, looked amazing, and so and Najee Harris is a different player than Josh Jacobs, so it could be that maybe Peyton Barber has a better game and that they do have rushing yards, but it's just not Josh Jacobs for the factor of all the injuries and things like that.
The illness. I think the biggest thing here is the illness. Stay tuned for our Twitter account on Saturday. You'll know exactly what's going to happen with the Josh Jacobs there. But as of right now, it's just there's too many question marks right now.
Yeah.
And like I said, we're deep into the season. It's week 6. You want to win these weeks, right? Yep. So if you have anybody viable enough to start, then I would start. I wouldn't be upset benching him with all these question marks.
Yeah, and if you have a spot on the bench, I would maybe just pick up Peyton Barber just in case. Jacobs is a late scratch. Kenyon Drake clearly is not going to get running carries.
That's 20 carries.
Exactly. So Peyton Barber would be the recipient. So, again, that's something to watch, but stick around for Only Playbook Twitter on Saturday. My second buy, you kind of jumped right into that segment, is going to be none other than Najee Harris. People are probably wondering why I'm buying him when he's already been phenomenal, but I don't think he's reached his ceiling yet. He's not even close to his ceiling. That's why I'm still buying Najee Harris. The Steelers, it seemed like last week and for maybe 2-3 weeks now, have found more of a formula that works for their personnel, and that is Najee Harris. Feed Najee Harris, right? And so Najee saw a carry or target on 66% of his offensive snaps last week. That's literally 2/3 of the game. 2/3 of the game, Najee Harris was either targeted or got handed off the ball, right? And to top it all off, this week they're playing the Seahawks, who are 30th against opposing running backs in terms of fantasy points. Last week, Najee Harris had his first 20-plus carry week, 23 carries, right? And it led to about 21 fantasy points or something like that. Weeks before, he had 15. The weeks before that, he had 14. Still put up 21 and 18 fantasy points. Now, if I'm just doing the math and I'm being a whiz here, he's getting close to 20-plus fantasy points on 15 touches running the ball. Mm-hmm. Sure, they love throwing him the ball, but I don't imagine they're going to stop throwing him the ball. They've just found a formula where they want to feed him 20-plus times, and that just, in terms of mathematically and volume, means that Najee Harris's ceiling is still not yet reached, and I think he could be a 25-plus point per week kind of guy very, very easily. Just sheer volume and the game plan and what the Steelers have just found recently that's working for their offense. So for that reason, I am still buying Najee Harris, even though his stock might be high. I still don't think it's as high as it can be.
Yeah. We've seen him when the offensive line hasn't been performing and he's been breaking tackles and they've been finding ways to get him the ball. And now if they can get that offensive line to scheme for the open, give him the holes that he can read and go to, then I think, sky's the limit for Najee.
And it really helps. The best part of the icing on the cake here is the Seahawks have allowed 450 total yards in 4 straight games. Yeah. And it's not even just rushing or passing, it's total yards. That's what Najee Harris specializes is in total yards. Yep. So, I mean, this is a no-brainer. This dude's going to explode this week. On paper, he's going to explode.
Yeah, I'm playing against him. Riaz has him. So that's going to be fun. But for that reason, I am buying Najee Harris this week. My second sell on the board is going to be none other than Mr. Discount Double Check, Aaron Rodgers. Everybody's probably wondering why the hell anybody would ever in their right mind sell somebody like Aaron Rodgers. Well, a couple of things. Let's take a look at it. He is at Soldier Field, right? Chicago Bears, Soldier Field, always a tough place to play. I don't care who you are. Aaron Rodgers this year so far, 3 away games. His fantasy points have been 1.3, 18, and 19 versus his 2 home games, 26 points, 24 points. The Bears are 4th against opposing quarterbacks so far this year. The Bears have faced Matthew Stafford, Joe Burrow, Jared Goff, Baker Mayfield, and Derek Carr. Some above average quarterbacks, some average quarterbacks, some, kind of questionable quarterbacks. And Rodgers so far this year in 10-man leagues, 12-man leagues, and even 14-man leagues through 5 weeks would not be ranked as a starting quarterback. And what that means is so far, Aaron Rodgers this year through 5 weeks, which most people probably wouldn't know unless you literally looked at it, is the 15th ranked fantasy quarterback. Mm-hmm. So there are 14 better fantasy quarterbacks, right? Forget the name Aaron Rodgers. We know he's phenomenal. We know he's, a Hall of Famer, Super Bowl champ, one of the best quarterbacks ever, but we're talking strictly fantasy football. People drafted Aaron Rodgers for him to replicate last year. So far, it has not been the case. 15th in ranking. And they're, again, at Soldier Field, going against a Bears defense we've consistently talked about, underrated, and it seems like every week they're getting better and better. And so for those reasons, I know most people would be crazy to bench Aaron Rodgers and start somebody who maybe you wouldn't even have a roster spot for right now. But really dig into this. We talked about week 6. These are crucial weeks in fantasy football where you're trying to get wins, and you have to be the ones. You have to do things that most people wouldn't do. And if you're strictly looking from a points perspective, there may be better plays that are literally still free agents from a fantasy standpoint this week than Aaron Rodgers. And for all those reasons, this week I am selling Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I would actually agree. I actually have Aaron Rodgers in my other league, and I'm contemplating not starting him. Here's a little stat that backs that up. In this year, the Packers are the first team in their franchise history to win at least 4 of their first 5 games, but have a negative point differential.
Wow.
Like, they're not scoring points.
Nope.
You know?
So the games they're winning by a lot. And then,
And negative point differential means you're allowing a lot of points too.
Right.
So that should be a formula for quarterbacks to succeed. You know, you got to keep up with the other team and you got to score more points. That is what Jalen Hurts does so beautifully. And Aaron Rodgers is not doing that.
Nope. Yeah, sorry, I'm gonna but we've talked so much about how fantasy is so valuable with guys who can do it with their legs. And don't get me wrong, Rodgers has plenty of capabilities to do it with his legs, but these guys like Jalen Hurts versus Aaron Rodgers, on paper, you're like, who's the better quarterback? Well, it's Aaron Rodgers. From a fantasy standpoint, who's the better quarterback? It's 10 out of 10 times Jalen Hurts.
Because you start the game with 6 points.
Exactly.
And for the people that are not understanding why I said 6 points, he's guaranteed like 40 to 60 yards rushing.
Yep.
So, you know, you start the game like that, knowing you're going to get that, it's going to be better than another quarterback that's in the same tier as you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so last week, Aaron Rodgers kind of took a while to kind of get things going as well. It was in the second half of the game. That's when he kind of lit up, and it's kind of been sort of the besides the Lions game, that's how Aaron Rodgers has been performing. So yeah, I mean, I can see the Bears defense definitely stepping up and allowing more sacks on Aaron Rodgers, and in turn not as much fantasy points.
But it's also not a guarantee, right?
No.
Aaron Rodgers is still Aaron Rodgers.
Exactly.
And I would not be surprised at all if he threw 5 touchdowns.
Absolutely not.
But that's why he's giving you these insights, because there are specific reasons why he's not as great of a start as you think.
Yep.
He might still be Aaron Rodgers and do Aaron Rodgers things, but you have to think outside the box on what are the possibilities.
And there's too many people that are like first year, second year, or more so casual fantasy football players that think the name Aaron Rodgers and automatically assume that he's putting up, Aaron Rodgers like numbers. And if you're actually looking into the numbers, it just hasn't been there. Mm-hmm. Could it change? At any point, Aaron Rodgers has the capability to change it, turn it around. So you don't ever doubt Aaron Rodgers, but if you're just looking at the numbers, this is what the numbers tell us. Again, for that reason, I am selling Mr. Discount Double Check Aaron Rodgers at Soldier Field this week. So that's my segment of buy stock, sell stock. Let's jump right into this weekend slate of games, kicking it off with a very, very early Sunday morning again for the second straight week in London, baby. We have the Miami Dolphins traveling to London. Just like the Jaguars are. The Jacksonville Jaguars are also traveling to London. Jaguars hoping to get their first victory. They're 0-5. Miami comes in 1-4. They're favored by 3 in London, and the over-under is set at 47. What are we looking for here early Sunday?
2 terrible defenses playing against each other is what we're looking at. We're looking at Trevor Lawrence having a pretty decent game. As you said, he is getting better and better every week. The passing rate of the Dolphins is 108.2, which is the 26th, and they've allowed 288.6 yards per game. We saw what Tom Brady did to them last week. I don't think Trevor Lawrence is there yet, but if there's ever a game for the Jaguars to come out on top, I think this is the game. This is where they should get the dub.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree. It's 2 teams with terrible defenses, and it's 1 team with terrible offense. There's still a team with possibilities, and that's the Jaguars. The Jaguars have allowed 22 or more points in 20 straight games, which is the longest streak in NFL history.
Jeez.
So historically, this is the worst points allowing team
ever.
And they've lost all of those games, obviously. So I think now, this game, they might allow 21 points and still win. This might break all kinds of streaks for them in London. So, yeah, if there's one game for this to happen, it's this game.
Are you guys, so based on all these, I know the offenses have a lot to be desired still, but they're playing trash defenses. Mm-hmm. Why is the over-under only at 47?
Yeah, I would take the over on this.
Maybe the ambiance, maybe the lack of sleep on the airplane, maybe
travel time, all that.
I don't know,
jet lag and shit. How early do they get to London before their games? Do you guys know?
That's a great question.
Yeah, they got to get like at least 3 to 5 days. I'd say. Yeah. I don't know. It cannot be that quick of a turnaround, but nonetheless, that absolutely plays a factor. I mean, you have West Coast teams traveling to East Coast teams, and those games play a factor. Yeah. So if you're traveling all the way to London, it's definitely going to impact you nonetheless. But yeah, that everything we talked about leads me to believe that there's a really, really solid chance that the over comes in. But at the same time, it's the Dolphins offense and the Jaguars offense that we're expecting things from. And, 0-4 and 1-5. So, there's also a possibility that they both just lay a dud.
I just want to see Gaskin do well, man. I just want to see Myles Gaskin do Myles Gaskin things. I've been hashtagging free Claypool, and I've been hashtagging free Myles Gaskin, because these are two stars who just, you've seen what they can do. You've seen sometimes when
Flashes.
you see them, you don't, like, other players don't do stuff they do, and it's like these are like unicorns in a sense, and they're just like keeping him in the garage. And last game, they at least threw it to him 10 times, and look what happened. He exploded.
2 touchdowns.
So, if I had to choose one player to keep an eye on this game, I'm going to keep an eye on Myles Gaskin, because there's a lot of trade value involved.
You mentioned the over and under. I think it kind of depends on the game plan, right? So for the Jaguars, let's say they just give the ball to Robinson and let Robinson just get the yards, control the clock that way. And then on the other side, they feed it to Gaskin. I don't know about the Miami side, but just the fact that if the Jaguars have come up with the game plan where that's what they're gonna do, they're gonna run it down Miami's throat, then yeah, we could definitely see an under. But
yeah, absolutely. I think the Dolphins, like top two, Byron Jones, Xavier Howard, are still injured.
Yeah.
Like they're not back yet. So again, decimated. People, they're in London. Both these shitty teams getting the opportunity to travel to London, right? They're probably having a good time. Like I want them to come out. This is what I expect, or I want. I don't know if that's what's going to happen, but come out fired up. Both teams have nothing to lose. They're both shitty. One team needs a fucking win. So it's just, I'm expecting some adrenaline, like turnovers. I just think short fields. If I'm leaning one way, I'm definitely leaning the over. And then as far as the line goes, again, the Jags are dogs plus 140. I almost don't mind that money line.
Really?
Yeah. Dolphins are favored by 3.
Dude, okay, listen to this. Dolphins are the 31st worst offense, 30th worst defense, 30th in passing, and 32nd in rushing.
Yikes.
Where the Jaguars are 6th in rushing.
Yeah.
Right?
Feed Robinson.
I'm sorry, Sweetcar, but there's going to be a lot of Harris, and there's going to be a lot of Robinson.
Yeah.
You should
Both those guys I'm playing against.
You should trade for Robinson tonight.
I need to. Riaz, hit me up, bro. I need to make that trade.
Well, now if he's listening to this, he's not going to want to trade now.
He's not listening to this. He's too busy on his honeymoon, probably. But yeah, I do like the Jags money line there as their first victory. I like the over there. But either way, I know it's shitty teams, but when you get football, 3.5 hours earlier than you're typically used to on a Sunday, shit, who's going to complain? So we'll get up early and catch that one in London. The first game in our noon slate games is probably the game of the week, the marquee matchup in my eyes. The LA Chargers are going to travel to Baltimore to take on the Baltimore Ravens. Both teams coming in 4-1. The Ravens are favored -2.5 at home. Over-under sitting at 52. With the way we've seen these offenses being able to put up points and their defenses allowing points, does anybody see anything other than points here?
No, number 1 offense versus number 7 offense. Baltimore is just killing it, and so are the Chargers. The only problem is they both have pretty weak defenses, right? So, yeah, points is the name of the game here, and there's going to be a lot of points everywhere.
Yeah, if there's a better defense, I would say I would shy towards the Ravens side because their run defense slightly better. But the Chargers defense has not looked at the part. And they haven't had to. All they need to do is give it to either Eckler, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, or Herbert will use it with run the ball. So I think this is just going to be a shootout. The under is at 52.
I'm over all day.
Yeah,
that's over all day.
Yeah, same. I honestly, I'm going to side on the Chargers side. I think that the game last week with the Ravens, and we were all watching it together.
The Ravens?
The
Ravens and Colts.
Monday night.
There were so many things that had to happen
for the Ravens
to win. And I know you guys were like, it
we
could
called
possibly
it. Yeah.
happen. You guys called it. It was, I think they were down 16, and on ESPN, it was like a 97% chance.
97.2.
Hey, yeah, that's right. I can't forget the 0.2 that they were going to win. And we were going through the scenarios of what needs to happen, the touchdown, go for 2, then stop them. And there was all these different variables, right? Which with the Colts, that I guess there's a chance for that. With the Chargers, they're going to have a stellar game just like they did last week. Lamar Jackson is going to have to play just as well. And I don't think that they will be able to compete with the Chargers offense.
Yeah, dude, I don't even think Eckler likes to run the ball. I think he prefers to catch the ball because it's just a mismatch every single time. And that works well with Justin Herbert because he has the most pass attempts per game and second most pass yards per game in NFL history so far. That's 40 passes per game.
That's my QB, man.
Dude, is that a tier?
Yeah, that's my quarterback.
Tier.
That's my quarterback.
But yeah, I mean, dude, if there's one game that I am just going to bet my house on that there's going to be a lot of points, it's this
over.
game.
52 is low. That's literally the Chargers almost put that up by themselves last week against the Browns. Yeah. And just to touch on the Ravens, one thing that really impressed me last week with the Ravens, Lamar Jackson, the reason I bring this up is I was listening to another podcast, and they just talk about how some teams can adjust. And coming into that game, the Ravens had, 100 straight games, or some ridiculous amount of straight games where they had 100 rushing yards or more, right? They were tied with the Steelers for the all-time record. So that team is predicated on running the football. The one weakness we talk about in Lamar Jackson is, has he solidified his throwing, like all that BS and all that stuff? Well, look at the stats last week. Look at how that game went. We just talked about the fourth quarter. They came into that quarter down like 16 points. Lamar Jackson didn't beat them with his legs. Lamar Jackson had over 400 yards passing. Mm-hmm. 400 yards passing. That's called fucking adjusting to the game, adjusting to the game plan. They did not come into that game with a game plan that Lamar Jackson was going to have to throw for 400 yards. That was what happened, and they made it happen. And that's impressive. Credit to John Harbaugh. Credit to Lamar Jackson. And, dude, that I think, to me, put the Ravens in another tier for me because, yes, they could always do things because they had Lamar Jackson. But, again, if they were ever in a position where Lamar Jackson had to try to beat them with the throw, could he? And they freaking did it. And so I know it's the Colts, but the Colts defense is still not terrible. They're pretty, average, middle of the pack kind of defense. And so that was one big thing. And so I think this game is going to be absolutely incredible. I want to side the Chargers because of the Herbert and the Mike Williams bias, but Ravens at home, man, after that kind of performance, I just feel like they're running on some momentum, man.
Right, but if we do see the Chargers win this game, Chargers are in another tier.
Oh, dude, they are. It seems like whoever goes to 5-1 winning this game is going to be in that team is destined for possible Super Bowl. So that's going to be a freaking fun matchup. I wish it wasn't in a noon game. Why do we have to have that marquee matchup bundled up with all the
I know. I wanted to switch it with the Monday night game, Titans and the Bills. But
I mean, they both had primetime games recently, so they're like,
know.
We
want more.
One last thing. Latavius Murray.
Yeah.
He is now the number one back on this team. I don't know how it happened. I don't know why it's happening.
Latavius just keeps doing.
What happened to Tyson?
I don't know. He came and he went.
Eating that chicken wings.
Maybe he just can't. I keep saying this is my excuse for everybody, but maybe he just can't get the playbook down. Maybe the plays are too complicated with Lamar Jackson just taking all the balls.
There are no plays. It's just Lamar. Every single playbook is Lamar.
Yeah. Well, as a veteran running back, maybe you can just understand the zone reads better and which gaps to kind of go into. So there is that for Latavius Murray. And he's proven himself.
You know what you're going to get.
Yeah, exactly. If I was a coach, I would actually play Latavius Murray because you're trying to get a few yards, right? You're trying to give Lamar Jackson 3rd and 6s and 3rd and 5s, or 2nd and 6s and 2nd and 5s, because that's easy first downs for Lamar. So who better than to take this old ass dude who still has some wheels, right? And just let him just bruise his body and get you yards. You're not gonna do that with Tyson. That's a rookie.
Yep.
You're gonna save him for a little bit.
Getting big Frank Gore vibes from me right now,
dude. Yeah. Major Frank Gore vibes. I have Latavius Murray. He's never gonna get playing time on my team, but it's exciting to see. Maybe he's leaving the vulture category because he gets the job.
Just know that Latavius Murray's stat line pretty much week to week is probably going to be anywhere from 40 to 60 rushing yards, and more than likely he will have a touchdown because that's all he does is he comes in and scores touchdowns, whether he's a backup, whether he's a starter. So, that is definitely some guy to have on your roster. You have to have starting running backs on your roster. Somebody in our league literally dropped Latavius Murray, and he's a starting running back. He's a starting running back on a team. So don't make that mistake. You want to snatch those guys up. But nonetheless, I don't know if Latavius Murray is going to be that involved in this game. I expect a lot of passing and Lamar action.
Yeah, for sure.
But again, pass interference, 1st and goal at the 1. Where's that going? Latavius
Lamar
Murray.
or Latavius?
Yeah, so you like those chances. But next game on the board, it's the divisional matchup. Aaron Rodgers and the Packers are going to be traveling to Soldier Field. We talked about it earlier, and take on the Chicago Bears. Packers coming in 4-1, Bears at 3-2, looking to even the record up. Packers are 5-point favorites here on the road in Soldier Field. Over/under sitting at 44. We've talked about Aaron Rodgers. We talked a little bit about kind of what we expect from him with the 3-headed monster every week. That seems like that's their formula. On the other side of the coin, though, with the Bears, this Packers defense we've talked about has been very, very bad. Even from Packers fans, the numbers, everything, they're not good. So Justin Fields, I think, has a real shot in here to come in here against a divisional opponent, against a team that's winning the division, and steal a victory and come away with actually being first in the division, owning the tiebreaker. So what does he have to do here? What are you guys seeing in this game?
So for me, the Packers don't really allow points. They allow a lot of yards. They let people march down the field, but they're actually 6th in points allowed.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that kind of fits well in how to stop Justin Fields.
Yeah.
Because Fields gonna have to do things he's not used to doing, and it's also is it his first game against Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of scary.
Yeah.
If I had to go play Aaron Rodgers for the first time, I would be terrified.
Pooping my pants.
Yeah. The Packers have won their last 18 of their last 21 games versus the Bears, so they kind of had their number.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just iffy. Sweetcar and I are Vikings fans. Shovet's a Steelers fan. So me and Sweetcar would like the Bears to win this game.
Sure.
But I think there's a lot of things pointing against that.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. However, some of the matchups to kind of look at is the Bears' third down defense is the 23rd in the NFL. So I don't know if you want to count that.
Third down defense?
Yeah,
that's
third down
bad.
defense. Packers' third down offense is 11th in the league.
Okay.
However, the red zone defense for the Bears is a lot better. You talked about the Packers don't score as many points. They're going to have a little bit more tough time if they're in the red zone against this Bears. So, just something to look out for. I think the Bears defense is good, but can they stop the Packers in the third down and stop them from being efficient? That's what I'm going to be looking out for.
Yeah, if they can capitalize on those third downs, extend those drives, feed Aaron Jones, and Rodgers is pretty much just going to toy with the Bears at that point.
Yeah, the thing here is the Packers have to play normal football.
Yep.
The Bears have to play lights out football.
Yep.
The Bears are last. They're 32nd on offense, and their passing offense is also set 32nd. Never would I ever choose a team to beat Aaron Rodgers being 32nd in the league.
Yep.
Like, this has to be Allen Robinson week. It has to. If the Bears are going to win, there's a 0% chance Allen Robinson does not have a good week.
Yep.
The other thing is, I feel like all these teams, they look at it and they're like, oh, it's the Packers and we got to stop Devontae Adams because he's going to get the ball. And every team has tried to stop Devontae
You cannot
Adams.
stop Devontae Adams.
So, I'll be interested to see how they approach that, which we'll see.
Limit him. You can't stop him, man. The dude's
Yeah.
probably the best receiver in the league.
Yeah.
He's a freak. But, again, that's going to be fun. Again, division games, sometimes all the stats, everything can get thrown out the window because it can just go differently naturally with teams knowing how each other play and everything like that. So that'll be a good one. Again, Packers favored by 5, over-under sitting at 44 there. The next game on the board, same division, our Minnesota Vikings are going to be traveling to Carolina. They're taking on the Panthers. Vikings coming in 2-3. Panthers are 3-2. Vikings are actually favored by 1 here on the road, over-under sitting at 46. This is an interesting matchup for a lot of reasons. There's question marks as to whether the Panthers were for real with their early season, doing well against a shitty schedule. They've kind of come back down to earth. Defense has come back down to earth. Sam Darnold has come back down to earth. And then we already know the story with the Vikings. They're really, really a couple of plays away from being 4-1, possibly 5-0. So I feel like two teams, if the Vikings win, it's two teams headed in opposite directions, right? Where the Panthers are who we thought they were, and the Vikings are still trying to prove themselves. But how do you guys see this game going, whether CMC plays or not?
Yeah, so for me, it's looking at the Panthers defense. They're 82.1 passer rating, which is 5th in the NFL, 6.3 yards per attempt. Yeah, which is 3rd, and they're 3rd in sacks, 6th in QB hits.
Oh, we don't like any of that.
Yeah, and the Vikings offensive line has allowed a sack in all games, 2 sacks last game, right? So there's that going for the Panthers.
Yeah.
However, the Vikings defense is kind of stepping up, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Sure. I would put them in the top 33% of the league on defense.
Yep.
Yeah, guys like Everson Griffin, Daniel Hunter definitely will put some pressure on Sam Darnold. So, I think that defense, look out. Panthers need to have something.
Yeah, there's a few things here pointing towards the Vikings side. The Vikings have the 2nd most sacks in the NFL this season. Sam Darnold has 1 passing touchdown and 4 interceptions and a 57.1 passer rating when under pressure.
Wow.
So if we can pressure this man, he is normal. He is human. The only reason he's getting touchdowns is running them in. He's not. So we're going to have to stop their number 1 wide receiver, Moore. We're going to have to stop him. And that's going to be Patrick Peterson's job most likely. And we're going to have to let Sam Darnold beat us throwing the ball. And he's thrown 5 interceptions in the last 2 games. First 1 interception in the first 3 games. So he's definitely coming back down to earth. Hopefully your friend Jordan doesn't bring his good Panthers juju down here.
Yeah, let's hope not. He's sick, so maybe that's already kind of bad juju for the Panthers.
No.
He's a little under the weather, so feel better so you can get your ass here tomorrow. But yeah, you're right. And the matchup of note is two big players, right? Dalvin Cook on the Vikings side, Christian McCaffrey on the Panthers side. Both news in opposite directions. Dalvin Cook, full participant, looks like he's good to go, ready to handle the workload again. CMC, like you mentioned earlier, non-participant. So that's going to be key because
that's huge.
The Panthers' offense revolves around CMC. And we've already seen kind of, we know how good Dalvin Cook is. We know the Vikings can beat you other ways. Alexander Mattison was fully capable. So it's just adding another weapon to that offense and putting pressure on the Panthers defense to have to stop one other dimension there. So I think if CMC doesn't play, it definitely swings in the favor of the Vikings. If CMC plays, he's a game-changing back, and that kind of makes it a coin toss.
Yeah, this line opened up plus or -1 in favor of the Panthers, and it's changed now to -1 in favor of the Vikings.
So more money, a lot of money is being put on the Vikings right now. That's why the line is
probably because of the CMC news.
CMC news. You could see if CMC gets an update tomorrow saying like he's playing, and then money starts pouring in on the Panthers.
If that's the case, I'm putting money on the Vikings.
If CMC plays?
If CMC comes in and the line changes to 1.5, I'm going to, and it favors the Panthers, then I would definitely.
So you're expecting the Vikings to win this game?
I am expecting the Vikings to win, yeah.
Yeah, for me, I've said a lot of games. I've thought we should have won a lot of the games so far, but this one, just because of the pressure they put, I'm a little wary because I know that's our weakest link. Our weakest link is not protecting Kirk Cousins, and if we can't do that, we can't win.
Yeah, and you talked about this earlier. We expect this to be the first game that Christian Darrisaw starts and hopefully plays the entire game.
Yeah, because that man is huge.
28 snaps last week. He was slotted in and out with Rashad Hill, and there was no pressure. So that's their first round pick. Offensive lineman, some guy that they expect to protect Kirk Cousins. And so if he can play like that, I mean, that's at least puts a patch on the overall line, and so that should help out. So that's something to watch.
Of note, you mentioned it earlier, both are top receivers, Thielen and Jefferson. They're both a little hobbled, but I did see Thielen running around the sidelines with Mike, joking around, horsing around. So I mean,
he can practice, he can horse around but can't practice.
Yeah, it's just Thursday, Wednesday, smoke screens. You got to be aware of those.
Allen Iverson vibes here.
Practice?
But yeah, no, that is definitely something to note. Again, only Playbook Twitter. Promise you're going to get all those updates on time. So that'll be a good matchup. Again, a divisional game for the Vikings to keep an eye on with the Bears and Packers with playoff implications, and obviously want to head into the bye with a victory. The Cincinnati Bengals are taking on the other team in that division. Cincinnati Bengals come in 3-2. They're traveling to the Detroit Lions, who are 0-5, still searching for that first victory. Lions at home, 3.5-point dogs. Over-under sitting at 45. Joe Burrow in this offense has looked good. Jamar Chase is obviously the real deal now. Nothing has been looking good on the Lions side. I know, they're like the classic, moral victories for 5 weeks in a row now, it seems like. They're just giving it their all. You saw their coach tearing up after that game. And so, a lot of emotion. And I feel for the guy, right? It's his first year as a coach, and he wants his team. He wants to get the monkey off his back.
So close.
Dude, I mean, and credit him. Went for 2. That's some ballsy shit. He went for 2, wanted to steal that victory. So he did everything, in his power there to get that victory, and still falls short. So I'm really hoping the Lions have an actual victory, not a moral victory, because to be honest, they're not really a threat in the division anyways.
Right.
I just want their coach to stop crying. So let's get that victory under your belt, the Lions. What are we seeing here in this game?
Yeah, I want the best for the Lions after that, Terry experience. I feel for the guy. That sucks. But at the end of the day, you're playing the Cincinnati Bengals with John Burrow, who is he's got so many options there with Jamar Chase and Higgins, and so I want the Lions to win, but I just don't see it happening for the Lions, even with the moral support. I still think that the Lions are the best 0-5 team that I've ever seen. I don't think that the Lions I don't.
Minnesota Vikings were 0-6 one time, and we had Randy Moss and.
And Dante Culpepper.
Dude, it's okay. I don't want to talk about that.
Okay, maybe they win. But no, they look good as an 0-5 team. I feel like they can definitely win. They almost won last week.
They've been in every game.
They've been in every game. However, I just don't think that the Bengals offense will be something that they can contain and win the game.
Dude, Joe Burrow is that dude. Joe Burrow is if I were to pick a quarterback in the NFL right now, I might just pick Joe Burrow. We haven't even seen the best of him. He's playing with a shitty offensive line for his whole career. He's throwing deep dimes perfectly, and he plays with this tenacious attitude. It's just he doesn't smile.
That
he doesn't
fire.
Cry. I want that dude on my team.
That moxie. It's contagious.
It is.
And everybody can see it. It's something that he has that you can't always quantify, but you just know he has it.
It's the it factor. It's the Mamba mentality, and this man has it. And I think this 3-2 start, the Bengals, It's not a complete fluke besides the game they played the Vikings. That one was a fluke. But I fully expect the Bengals to undress the Detroit Lions and smack them around this game.
Yeah. Just a quick note, when Dan Campbell was an interim coach in Miami in 2015, his defensive coordinator was Lou Anarumo, who is currently the Cincinnati's defense. Yeah. So I'm sure that, maybe he's got some ideas on what Campbell is doing.
Yeah, maybe.
Some insider.
We'll see kind of the insider trading information.
Also, my friend Adil's son, he's like, he just got born and he still hasn't got to see his dad's team win a game. Come on, give him a W.
Adil.
Give him a W.
So after Dan Campbell crying and then the kid not
oh
being
my
able to
God,
see,
give the Lions a victory, man.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Bro, he's got so many outfits, like Lions outfits. I wish I had that growing up.
They need a Lions commercial with the "In the Arms of the" with Dan Campbell like tearing, like that would be so ideal right now. I feel for them so badly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, but I gotta go with the Bengals this game.
Yeah, I mean, that offense against that Lions defense, I just don't know how they're gonna stop it.
Yeah, and it's 3.5. I think.
Yeah, that seems low.
That seems very low.
That seems low. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. Surprise us, Lions. Win a game at home, and your coach can stop crying. So that'll be interesting. The Texans are 1-4. They're traveling to the Colts to take on the Colts, who are 1-4. Colts are favored in this game of two 1-4 teams by 10 points at home. Over under coming in at 43.5. Explain this one to me. Why are two 1-4 teams separated by such a large spread?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. It's almost like the Vegas is wanting us to put it, put the money on plus 10 for the Texans. It's like enticing you to do it and then laughing at you when you don't get it wrong. But I don't see how they could laugh at us at the end of the day because
the value.
I just don't see Colts winning by like 10 points like that. I really don't. Texans last week, David Mills scored 3 touchdowns. Davis Mills. Yeah. I think I did that last time.
David is such a more common first name than Davis. Yeah, that's why.
Davis Mills. Yeah, he did that.
He's got 2 last names.
3 touchdowns last week. He's got two last names.
Usually
Davis
people have 2 first
Mills.
names.
Like Ricky Bobby, it's 2 first names.
Yeah.
But Davis Mills is literally 2 last names. Like Davis, Terrell Davis. Like it's a last.
Hi, my name is Jones Thompson.
Wild. Just making it harder on me.
Seriously.
But yeah, no, I just Houston's defense, right? Last week, fast defense, 1 touchdown allowed, 1 interception, and 95.3 passer rating for Mac Jones. And so Carson Wentz had an amazing game, but I think that the Houston defense is good enough to, not allow that. I mean, they scored 400. They had 400 yards. He had 2 touchdowns. Wentz did last game, but I still think that to be able to surpass that spread of 10 points, that seems kind of outrageous to me.
Yeah, the only thing that kind of gives me hope to get that is the Texans are allowing 152 rushing yards per game since last year. That's the most in the NFL in that span. And I think Jonathan Taylor is just warming up. If they just give him like 20 carries,
he's gonna freaking eat.
Yeah, I don't know. But the thing is, like, Houston, on paper, they're supposed to be terrible, right?
Yep.
They haven't been terrible.
No.
They're actually playing okay on defense. It's not so bad. And then somehow Mills is making certain things happen. So I'm very, very impressed on how Houston's handled this whole situation.
Yeah, that I was just going to say credit to like their ownership or their coaches for keeping them ready to play with all of the Deshaun Watson and all the other distractions and all of the expectations that they were just going to be downright shit. Yeah, I know they're 1-4, but like you said, they have not looked like the Eagles are 2-4. The Eagles were 2-3 coming into this week, and the Eagles look like a way shittier team than the Texans do, right? So the eye test tells you that the Texans are at least coming every week ready to play.
And the money line is at plus 360 on the Texans side. Yeah. And they almost won that game against the Patriots.
Sprinkle some on
that.
Dude,
just a little bit, dabble, plus 360.
Yeah.
It's the NFL. Anybody can beat anybody.
True. The Colts have been beating the AFC South, their division, just big time since 2002. They're 80-35 against their division. Only New England has a higher winning percentage versus their own division outside of the Colts.
What's the time frame on that?
Since 2002.
So a lot of those are Peyton Manning, and then some Andrew Luck in there too.
Yeah. So let's see who this third team is that doesn't have Tom Brady or Peyton Manning.
Yeah, exactly. But nonetheless, again, that's such a wildly high spread for 2 teams with the same record. Like, is their talent level disparity that big? Is Vegas seeing that big of a disparity? I mean, that's outrageous to me. But like you said, it just seems so baity. Like, why would you not take the Texans plus 10 only for the Colts to come in and win like 31-10 or some shit, But I don't know. I think it'll be interesting.
Sprinkle.
The one thing of note is the Colts had some kicking problems last last week, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, Rodrigo Blankenship had some hip problems.
Yeah.
And I think they
just signed another kicker. Or they training
from their practice squad.
Yeah,
they,
yeah. There's something going on. There's
yeah.
something going on.
Something to monitor. I know people have Rodrigo Blankenship in
Yeah.
their as their
Paul.
kicker.
Shout out to Paul. He's like the worst person ever, but I love you. And
Got him.
yeah, he's got Blankenship. He just loves he loves giving nicknames to players. Like he gives nicknames like there's no tomorrow. That's where I got Senor Jefe from, and now I can't stop calling Jefferson Senor Jefe every time I see him. Yeah, we'll meet him when we get to New York.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. The Colts. I think I'm gonna choose the Colts on this one. I think I'm gonna pick Colts to win by like 7.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I definitely think there's value in the +10. I think there's value in sprinkling some on the Texans, but Colts should win this game. Will they cover? It's just too many points. Too many points. That leads us into the Rams. The LA Rams are 4-1. They're traveling to the Giants, who are 1-4, to take on the Saquon Barkley less Giants now with Daniel Jones in a concussion protocol. Rams are coming in favored by 9.5. Over under at 48.5. I mean, Saquon's hurt. Danny Dimes is in concussion protocol. Kadarius Toney is injured as well. All of their receivers are hurt. Their most viable pass catcher right now is Evan Ingram. How are the Rams not just going to come in here and absolutely annihilate this team?
Yeah, it's going to be tough for the Giants to keep up with the Rams, especially if Daniel Jones is not there. If Daniel Jones is playing, I think I'm staying far away from the spread because you never know what he'll do with his legs and get some touchdowns that way, and so that makes me a little bit wary. However, I do want to point that last year the Giants played the Seahawks and also did not have Daniel Jones, did not have Saquon Barkley, and at that time the Giants were 5-7, the Seahawks were 8-4. We similar situation, and they ended up winning the game 17-12. So it's not like it's like impossible, but I mean
It's never impossible.
It's never impossible any given Sunday.
Unless you have a Vikings kicker.
Mike Glennon and Evan Ingram beating the Rams.
Dude, I don't even like to hear the word Evan Ingram. Why is that even in the NFL? Can we delete that from the vocabulary?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's bad, man. You have Woods, Kupp, Deshaun Jackson's getting free now. Like, how is the Giants going to stop anybody?
Slayton and Shepard practiced.
Okay.
And Tony's injury seems to be just
minor,
not a big deal. So if they have all three of them, who's the backup quarterback?
Mike Glennon.
Mike Glennon? I mean, I don't know how Glennon's going to play.
Yeah.
If he gets to play. I am still a firm believer that this concussion wasn't that big of a deal. They're just being very cautious because that is their franchise quarterback. I think he'll play. I'll be very surprised if he doesn't play. And if he gets all his weapons back, Booker is pretty good running back.
Yeah.
He's not as bad as people think. He plays with a lot of toughness. He goes for that extra yard that you don't see people like Miles Sanders do. So yeah, I mean, I think they'll keep up. And the Rams defense is not as good as people think. They're just Rams. New York Giants are 29th in defense. And the Rams are second in passing offense. So I think this game is going to be more of just Cooper Kupp action, and they're going to have a significant lead, and they're going to force all these replacements that the Giants are going to be playing with potentially to try to keep up with them. And their defense, I know the Rams defense isn't as good as what people made them out to be, but it's good enough to contain, to like suppress leads, and that's how they've been winning these games. So I think it's going to be that type of formula. But like you said, I mean, who knows what's going to happen? Yeah,
the Rams defense just has like sprinkles of godlike players in Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, and they pretty much, I feel like, cover the flaws of all of the average to below average guys that are around them. So, it's just, will the Giants be able to do enough?
Yeah.
And it's just not looking that way.
Yeah, something of note, like the Rams defense, yes, they are stellar, but have they really been better than what they were the year before? And I would say no, right?
Yeah.
The Rams defense kind of is coming down a little bit. Not that saying that not a knock on them, but just something to note.
Yeah.
Real quick, the Giants actually lost, not the football Giants, the baseball Giants.
Oh, they did?
Oh, really?
Yeah, the Dodgers.
Wow, the Dodgers going to the NLCS.
Yeah, they silenced the Giants crowd with a 9th inning RBI single to secure a 2-1 victory.
Wow. Dodgers and Braves. Dodgers and Braves now in the semis, and then you have the fucking Red Sox and Astros. I want to freaking shoot myself. That's going to be awful, but let's go Braves. We're rooting for the Braves here. So that should be a good game. Rams Giants should be a good game. Jumping right into the 2-3 surprising Chiefs, 2-3 coming in and traveling to take on the Washington football team, also 2-3. Chiefs are favored by 6.5, over under 54.5. The common theme every week we've talked on this podcast about these two teams is what the hell is wrong with their defenses. So, I mean, 35 to 40 points from the Chiefs alone in this game seems like pretty much what you would expect.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect anything less than 30. That's for sure. The Chiefs, you gotta keep this on the back of your mind. They're the 31st worst defense now.
They're so bad.
Sorensen, I don't know if he knows how to play football anymore.
He's so bad.
So yeah, I mean, what's the over under on this?
54.5.
54.5.
I'm on that over too.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a game that Heineke can score points.
Yep.
You know, and then the Chiefs will obviously score points on the 27th worst defense. Chiefs offense is still pretty stable. They're just losing with like all these little things going wrong, but they're still the 5th in passing. They're 4th in offense, 7th in rushing, but they're 31st in defense.
Yep.
So, you know, we had imagined starting this season that no matter what their defense looks like, Chiefs can always win games, but that is not true at all. They have more losses than wins now because of that defense. But I think this is going to be a nice little bounce back game. Play the Washington, I was going to say the R word. But yeah, the football team, and I think this is going to be a nice little victory that they can kind of ride into the rest of their weeks.
As 6.5 point spread, if we're expecting the Chiefs to win this comfortably, like a touchdown win doesn't seem out of the question, right? At 6.5, you kind of like the Chiefs minus 6.5 there?
But that's how bad their defense is.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. What were you going to say?
Yeah, just something to know. CEH, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is not playing, so Darrell Williams will be taken over in lieu of his absence. So, you know, if you listen to our podcast on, what was it, Tuesday? Monday, then you would have known to pick him up.
Yeah,
And,
but if you didn't, you're an idiot.
Yeah, exactly. But in terms of this game, you know, yeah, the two terrible defenses. QB, how bad is Washington defense? They allow 109.5 passer rating, 9.3 yards per attempt, which is 29th in the NFL. So, yeah, just, you know, two bad defenses, but Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes, I'm going to give them the
benefit of the doubt.
Benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, exactly. And we kept talking about like losing streaks for the Chiefs, and we cannot imagine a world in which the Chiefs go 2-4.
Yeah, that would be just insane. And here's some stats to make sure that doesn't happen. So Washington has allowed 4 passing touchdowns in each of their last 3 games.
Okay.
And those are quarterbacks not named Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. They're tied for the longest streak in the NFL since 1940.
Wow.
Can you believe that in those 3 games they allowed 4 passing touchdowns each? No one's done that before.
That's crazy.
And Patrick Mahomes has 4 or more passing touchdowns in 12 games since 2018, which is the most in the NFL. So there's one guy that likes to throw a lot of touchdowns, and there's one team that likes to allow a lot of touchdowns. Also, the Chiefs have allowed 28 or more fantasy points to each of the last 4 quarterbacks they faced. So that defense is that bad, and Heineke's out there drooling to get this opportunity to potentially beat Patrick Mahomes.
Taylor Heineke could be a better fantasy start this week than Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. I would actually put him in my rankings. I would put Heineke above Rodgers.
Yeah, and another streaming option for me here is the tight end Ricky Seals-Jones for Washington football team. You know, just to if you're you know have got like Kyle Pitts is on a bye week or some injuries going on, then you know maybe Ricky Seals-Jones.
And there's a reason why that is factually correct. It's because the Washington football team run routes with their tight end more than any other team. So that's why Logan Thomas was getting those touchdowns. He's just running wild, you know. And if someone's got to fill those shoes, it's going to have to be Ricky Seals Jr.
Yeah, so I fully expect Kansas City to take care of this game. Again, they like to win in closer fashion just because their defense literally can't stop anything. But nonetheless, I expect them to win, but I do expect a high-scoring affair. Hopefully fantasy points are kind of galore here with all the major players getting their points. But we'll see. We'll see kind of how that one goes. The next game on the board we have is we have the Cardinals. The 5-0 Arizona Cardinals are going to travel to take on the 3-2 Cleveland Browns. Is this right? The Browns are 3-point favorites at home against the 5-0 Arizona Cardinals. Am I reading that right?
Yeah, that's based off of ESPN.com. Their
Caesars Sportsbook. Yeah, that's pretty accurate. Over under sitting at 49.5. Wow, Browns favored by 3 at home. Am I missing something here, or is this some kind of weird trappy vibes?
There's a huge trappy vibes. The Browns are 25th in passing, and the Cardinals are pretty much top 10 in every category you can think of. Their defense is 13th. So they're capable of stopping, passes and rushes, whereas the Browns are not capable of throwing the ball. And when you have a player like Kyler Murray, there's gonna be moments where Cardinals take the lead here, right?
Yeah.
There's gonna be moments where the Cardinals take the lead, And there's going to be times where Cleveland Browns are going to have to try to overcome those leads. How will they do it? Are they going to do it with OBJ? I think Landry may possibly be back this week. That would be huge.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, the Browns are number one in rushing, and they've been using this rushing even when they're playing against teams like the Chargers to score like 40-plus points. I just don't think that's sustainable. So I'm very, very curious about that line.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking just very basic stuff, right? The 5 games that the Cardinals have played, they beat the 49ers at home. They beat the Rams on the road. They beat the Jags on the road. They beat the Vikings at home, and they beat the Titans on the road. So, the Rams, even the 49ers are a viable team. The Vikings, they pretty much almost lost to, and the Titans we expected coming into the season to be relatively decent, and they've kind of bounced back now, right? So those are some pretty good matchups. The Browns lost to the Chargers, obviously, last week. They beat the Vikings. They beat the Bears. They beat the Texans, and then they lost to the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
So just strength of schedule, who they've played, what games they've won, winning on the road versus winning at home, and not to mention the Cardinals are only allowing 19 points a game on their defensive side, and we probably expect on paper that the Browns have a better defense, but the Cardinals are allowing less points. The Browns are allowing more points. The Browns' formula is they just don't allow a lot of rushing yards, and the Cardinals, I mean, with Edmonds and Connor, they don't have to run much anyways.
They don't need to gain yards.
Kyler Murray can gain all their rushing yards, and then they have all their weapons, so I'm just really trying to understand, unless there's some sort of injury or something I'm completely missing, I cannot understand a world in which the Cardinals are coming in 5-0, and they're even on ESPN right now. It says 3.5. They're 3.5-point dogs.
Yeah. So in terms of Browns defense, right? They have 16 sacks on the year, which is third in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
43 QB hits, which is the first in the NFL. So that defensive line with Myles Garrett, and company is capable
for sure.
of
definitely as advertised.
For sure, right? Their pass defense, they allowed over 400 yards, 4 touchdowns to Herbert. That's definitely lacking. But in terms of being able to stop Kyler Murray when he runs out and making sure that he's tackled, I think that they are capable in that sense.
You think so?
I think so.
Damn.
I think Browns will be able to contain or should be able to contain the Cardinals. And I could be wrong. I mean, there's definitely a lot of options there. And then in terms of how the Browns will, their game plan will be the game plan we've seen all year, which is running the ball to Kareem Hunt and
Nick Chubb.
Yeah, Chubb. And the Cardinals' rushing defense has allowed 5 or more yards per attempt. Per carry this year. So given that, I think they'll just continue doing that, and have to have a stellar defensive line performance, and that's the formula. Whether that will happen or not, still to be seen. But I can see that the Browns definitely having a sort of a revenge game after losing to Chargers last week.
Yeah, the Browns are gonna have to score points. Browns are going to score points. Arizona's the 6th team in the Super Bowl era to score 30 or more points and allow 20 or fewer points in 4 of their first 5 games of the season. So they're just, they're not letting people score, and they're scoring a lot of points. And that's not the Browns' MO. Their MO is to score a good amount and then allow a good amount.
Yep.
So
control the clock and run.
Yeah. So we're gonna see what happens here. I am one to think Kyler Murray. I just don't think you can contain him. I don't think he's containable because it's different than Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is a freak of nature. He's an athlete, right? He can do things Kyler Murray can't.
Mm-hmm.
But Kyler Murray is way more mobile as far as making the defender miss in the backfield.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson, past the line of scrimmage, dangerous. Kyler Murray, before the line of scrimmage, way more dangerous in my opinion.
Shiftier, smaller, maneuverability.
Right, and you got guys 6 foot, big numbers. Myles Garrett coming at a little guy. I feel like that's actually on Kyler Murray's advantage. But their offensive line hasn't, and it doesn't even matter who their offensive line is because Myles Garrett will get back there. Mm-hmm. So, I think, the formula here is to stop Kyler Murray, but I just don't know if that's an attainable formula because everybody's tried that. We tried that. Like I mentioned earlier, you said the Browns are 3rd in sacks, Vikings are 2nd, and we tried our best to contain this man, and we even got to him a couple times, got his hand, but he escapes. So we'll see. I would be very impressed in the Browns if they can do this and then I think then I can label them as an actual threat. But until they can do this, you're not going to win the Super Bowl. You're not going to win Super Bowl not being able to stop Kyler Murray. Those are the teams that win these big matches. So I think my eyes are all on Myles Garrett and that D-line and see what they can do to Kyler Murray.
Yeah. Last thing to note, obviously echoes everything we're talking about, is you talked about containing Kyler Murray with the defensive line. The defensive line is their strong suit, right? So the defensive line is their strong suit. Their secondary is not as strong. So as long as you can get to Kyler Murray, we saw last week what happened when they couldn't get to a quarterback that is not even remotely close to as mobile as Kyler Murray, right? So game planning for a guy like Kyler Murray, whether you're trying to QB contain him or you're trying to bring the pressure, he is somebody that doesn't matter the type of pressure you're bringing. Sure, it matters in some senses, but like you can't game plan for things that he can do on the field, right? You could game plan for Justin Herbert, right? Because he's just dropping back and throwing the ball 50 times. So game plan for that, and you gave up 47 points in a pretty one-dimensional offense. Even though Eckler runs well, he likes to catch passes over running. And so if you couldn't stop an offense where you knew they were going to drop back and throw the ball 40 times, I'm concerned as to how they think they're going to stop. Like, if their defensive front gets pressure but Murray escapes, then that leaves the vulnerability of the entire secondary pretty much like a dream come true for Kyler Murray as he's examining the field.
Look at Hurts, right? You can't really pick a player similar to Kyler Murray, but Hurts is about as close as it can get. They're both just running for their lives, right? But Kyler Murray has all-stars to throw the ball to,
right?
Whereas Hurts has a bunch of little dudes who are young.
He also has a better offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
And have better,
of course,
a
better
spread.
overall team.
Right.
Better overall team. Right. But what I'm trying to get with that is, if a guy like Hurts, when you force him outside of the pocket, make throws from the sidelines, which is what the Buccaneers did, and the game was still so close, I'm wondering, a tier up from Hurts in Kyler Murray, how do you stop that? So far we haven't seen a formula to stop Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy to think about what to do. Don't let him escape, right? But we're going to have to see if this Myles Garrett thing is capable of doing this.
Yeah.
If there's a defensive end to do it, it's Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's literally going to be the unstoppable force comes and meets the immovable object.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see who comes out on top. That's going to be a great matchup. Jumping into the next game, the Las Vegas Raiders coming in at 3-2. They're traveling to Denver. They're going to take on the 3-2 Broncos, divisional game there. Broncos are favored by 3.5, over-under sitting at 44. Obviously, a lot of stuff going on around the Raiders, ton of distractions, a ton of outside noise, coaching change, etc. How do you get your head right to come in, especially in a tough place like Denver with Mile High and, that stout defense? How do you come ready and prepared and not lay a dud here?
You look at your paycheck and you say, I'm getting paid to do this, and I'm going to go out there and I'm going to give it my best and fuck this shitty coach that I had, and I'm going to do what I have to do. No, but it's going to be tough. Yeah, Broncos are favored by 3.5. The over-under is 44, so Vegas is not expecting a lot of scoring going on. But I just, I'm also siding on the on Denver's side here. I think that they have a bounce back game, and Teddy Bridgewater does, Teddy Bridgewater things. Sutton's going to be healthy and back. So I think that the Raiders will have a tough time this game.
Yeah, I agree, which doesn't bode well for me because I'm playing against Darren Waller. His receiving yards have decreased in each game this season. Every single game, it's just getting less and less and less. But I think if the Raiders want to win this game, they're going to have to change that up. They're going to have to change that up. What are they doing?
I don't know.
Why is he not getting the ball? He's like 10 times bigger than any linebacker as far as height is considered, and he's still a mismatch on cornerbacks because they're little, So I don't get why he's not getting the ball. That has been their formula for scoring points for so long. I don't know why they're shying away from that and giving Peyton Barber the ball 26 times or whatever. But yeah, number 3 defense versus number 4 passing offense. The defense is the Broncos, obviously. The Raiders is the passing offense. It's going to be really fun to see this. These are both teams who I put in like this tier, this special tier I have. I call it my Lions tier because both these teams look like the Lions that I've seen in my. Well, the Broncos are a little better because their defense is good, but that's only because we've seen them play shitty teams. So I'm excited to see the Raiders. The Raiders remind me of a replica of the Matthew Stafford Lions I've watched my whole life. So, I don't see them doing as well as I initially hoped they would. But if they want to escape that territory of being considered in that Lions category, I would they would have to win this game. They would have to beat the Broncos.
Yeah, and the Broncos come in with a good defense. They still have a good running game, right? They have two guys that they trust, and the Raiders' run defense has been piss poor this year. 27th in yards per carry, 25th in yards per game. So, like, their run defense is bad, and if the Broncos come in and literally execute the formula that we know is Broncos football, they should come in and take care of business. Yeah. So, we'll see how that game goes. The Dallas Cowboys, the 4-1 Dallas Cowboys, are going to be traveling to New England. They're coming to take on Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots, who are 2-3. Cowboys are favored here, 3.5. Over-under sitting at 50.5. The Cowboys have been on an insane run, a tear, a momentum. Everything is clicking, offense, defense, every part of their offense is clicking. How does Bill Belichick come in and slow them down, or is this going to just be another route to 5-1 for the Cowboys?
I feel like it's both. I feel like Bill Belichick is going to – I mean, he's Bill Belichick, right? He's not going to have bad games back-to-back. It just doesn't happen. I don't know the last time I saw that happen. But it is also the Dallas Cowboys who look like the most complete offense in the NFL. They can run the ball at will. They can throw the ball at will. Quarterbacks, underrated quarterback for so much of his career. I think that conversation's out the window now. So, yeah, we're going to have to see. We're going to have to see. I know that the New England Patriots are not capable of putting the points up like the Dallas Cowboys are.
Yep.
So I think this game just starts with Dallas just putting their foot on the ground, and I think they're going to come out firing because with that formula, if they take like a 14-point lead at halftime, I don't see how they're going to lose this game.
No.
Yeah, Patriots have a lot to work cut out for them. They have to stop Schultz, Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Pollard, Zeke. So, good luck doing that after allowing 300 yards to Davis. Mills.
Got him.
So it's gonna be a tough matchup. So the spread is 3.5, which I'm so tempted to take that. I mean, I don't see how. I know we mentioned Bill Belichick. I just don't see the Cowboys defense, the way Cowboys offense, the way that they're playing right now, being stopped by the Patriots and with all the offensive power that they have. The only thing is New England does like to run the ball, and Cowboys are pretty average when it comes to yards per carry, 14th. However, they average the other teams average 79.4, which is 5th. So maybe they run the ball, and I'm not really sure.
I know New England likes to run the ball, but they're not running well.
Yeah.
They're 27th in rushing. So
and is Harris hurt or is he back?
That's a Saturday question.
Okay.
If not Stevenson,
Ramondre
he was.
time.
I think he was downgraded to. No, he was upgraded to limited. So which means it looked bad earlier, but I think it's looking better. So it's a Saturday question for sure. But yeah, I just don't know who the New England Patriots are going to establish as their number one wide receiver.
They have no identity right now.
They don't, because Mac Jones is so accurate, but he's so accurate to maybe about like 20 yards.
Yeah.
Right? So he's getting the job done moving the ball, but that requires a good, stout defense to back that up. And, their defense is 5th right now. Their defense is 5th, but they're going against the number 2 offense and they're number 2 rushing. And they're number 11 in passing, but that's only because they run the ball so much because they haven't been able to be stopped. So this is like, I wouldn't consider this a trap game. I'm a lot more confident in the Cowboys winning this game than some other trap games. But it's a Bill Belichick game, and you're in New England, so you would be a fool to just like rule them out.
Yeah, exactly. Traveling to Foxborough, I just feel like that place in itself has a vibe and an aura that you just come in with an added sense of pressure.
Championship vibe.
Yeah, exactly. They've been there before. So, again, and I keep thinking that the Cowboys are going to have a letdown spot because that's just been the Cowboys traditionally. It's probably time I stop doubting them because they're obviously the real deal. They're legit. And so the more wins they keep racking up, especially on the road, not like the Patriots are, some pushover team either, especially if they can rack up wins on the road in that division and create that gap. I mean, dude, the confidence, everything is just going to be sky high for the Cowboys. And right now they're already kind of riding that momentum train. So I expect them to keep it going. And 3.5 does seem kind of low.
So, I mean, the Cowboys are doing great, right? Mm-hmm. But I also don't put them in that top tier series of teams because their defense is still 25th. I know we see Trayvon Diggs running left and right, but there's a lot of people catching balls on him. You can't this is why we do what we do and we do this well is because we don't get blinded by those interceptions. That's great. He's going to be an all-pro probably one day or whatever. But that's unsustainable. This is like the Tyler Lockett argument that I always bring, He just gets all these touchdowns and he disappears and then he comes back, gets touchdowns. A cornerback is catching interceptions, which it's kind of like a wide receiver catching touchdowns. Like, he's doing that at such an insane pace, but he's allowing so many catches. He's allowing so many yards. It's not like he's a shutdown cornerback. He's just a really good wide receiver.
He's a ball hawk.
He's a ball hawk. He's like, he played with his brother probably in the backyard. Yep. He learned everything.
And he's a
from
receiver,
him.
right?
Yeah.
So the way he attacks the ball is very receiver-esque.
Right. So, but you can see highlights of Kadarius Toney just like embarrassing him. So, I'm not ready to label him as like, oh my God, he's going to guard all your best players and take them out of the game, because he hasn't done that. He hasn't taken people out of the game. But I am very wary of throwing the ball in his area.
Yes.
So for that reason, their defense isn't top tier defense. It looks that way when you're watching these games, and but if you look at it retrospectively after the games are over, they're allowing a lot of yards. They're 25th in defense. So if they play teams that are more complete, like the Bills, I don't see how the Cowboys can beat the Bills. Yes, offensively they're very firepowered, and that gives your team every opportunity. But in order to make it that far into the season and into the playoffs, you have to have a more complete team than second best offense and 25th best defense.
Yeah, I think the one comparison I always draw with Trayvon Diggs early on is, yes, again, you don't want to throw his way. He's intercepting the ball at a crazy rate, but it reminds me of Marcus Peters. Marcus Peters is a great example of another guy who everybody was like claiming this new shutdown corner, blah, 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 just because he was getting so many interceptions. But that's because the volume of balls that was being thrown his way, right? Yes, he'd get 8 to 9 or 8 to 10 interceptions a game or a season, but he was also still allowing like 5 to 6 catches a game, right? So you have to look at his grade, like you said, from a overall perspective, not just the flashy plays. So again, still scary. He's still kind of a stud, and again, you don't want to throw his way, obviously, if you don't have to. But right, it does put like a mask over the Cowboys defense, making you expect or think that they're better than they actually are. Yeah,
well, I mean, it's like a couple of years back when Dak Prescott, his rookie year, right? They went 13-3, but their defense was atrocious.
Oh,
so bad,
terrible. And then they lost to Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs. For me, it's like this defense isn't terrible. It's part in terms of like Diggs with the interceptions and things like that. They've had and they've got the players, Parsons in the defensive line, and made adjustments and things like that. It's a long season, and I think that I'm sure they're going to be working on fine tuning that defense. And if they can get that figured out, then they definitely get to that top tier mark.
Yeah, for sure.
If they sustain that offense and their defense just becomes respectable, then they're right on the cusp of that next tier. So it should be a good matchup. I expect the Cowboys to take care of business there. Sunday Night Football takes us from the Seahawks traveling to your Pittsburgh Steelers. Show of it. Both teams coming in 2-3. Steelers come in 5-point favorites, over under sitting at 42.5. Big story, obviously, Russell Wilson with the injury, although surprisingly he's already limited in practice 6 days after. We don't expect him to play, obviously,
no.
But Geno Smith's show. I listen to a lot of football radio, and they're talking about, and this sounds crazy to me, right? So like, let me know if you feel like there's any truth to this. They're talking about how the playbook is now more open with Russell Wilson injured, because a lot of what their playbook schematically was literally let Russ cook, like exactly that, right? Russell Wilson will make plays happen regardless of the play call, but now they're thinking with Geno Smith, he doesn't have that capability, so maybe they open the playbook and start with their shorter three-step drops and all those easier passes to get him going. Geno Smith is not even anywhere close in the same realm or ballpark of a quarterback that Russell Wilson is, but does having Geno Smith allow them to open up their playbook to where they can maybe run plays that they wouldn't have run with Russell Wilson? To me, that sounds absolutely crazy. Why would you have a better quarterback run less plays than a shittier quarterback? But what do you guys think about that?
It almost seems like you have to open up the plays just because Geno Smith is not as good as Russell Wilson, obviously, right? And you'll have to open up plays with shorter catches and things like that. So, with Geno Smith as a quarterback, I just don't see that that could be something that's sustainable in the long run, to be honest with you. And in terms of not just Geno Smith and the offense, let's talk about the Seahawks defense, right? Their secondary has struggled. 103.5 passer rating allowed, 8.3 yards per attempt, 305.6 yards per game. It's a lot of yards. So beneficiary of that would be Chris Claypool, Deontay Johnson,
Chase
Claypool, Chris Claypool. I don't know where I get that from. It's been a long night. The rush defense allows 4.5 yards per carry and 145.2 yards per game, which is dead last.
Yikes.
So, you bought Najee Harris. yet. I mean, that absolutely makes sense, right? So, I mean, I don't like with Geno Smith. You know, there's a lot of wrenches that are going to come his way, and if he can dodge a wrench, he can dodge Pittsburgh's defense.
I mean, dodge TJ Watt,
Yeah.
which is so hard to do.
Yeah, so good luck doing that. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah. I mean, he is the key. How is Geno Smith going to play for a full game against a Pittsburgh defense? TJ Watt coming at you. Again, he hasn't started a game in, 4 years now? This is his first official start after 4 seasons.
If you could go back and draft either Geno Smith or Jameis Winston, who are you drafting?
Yikes.
Jameis.
Oh my God, that's such a shitty decision.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
I mean, the reason people would lean Jameis is he's played more since being drafted, right? I don't even know how much of a better quarterback Jameis Winston is because I don't really think he's a good quarterback, but there's more tape on Jameis Winston, so you've seen him do good things, obviously, in spite of all the bad things he's done. Geno Smith, he hasn't even started 2 full seasons in the NFL. So I don't know. I honestly do not know.
Yeah, and that first season was with the Jets, right?
Yeah,
so
and
you can't really count that.
exactly. Your career goes and dies there.
Right. Jameis Winston got to play with Mike Evans and Godwin.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know the answer. I just wanted to see what you guys would think.
Yeah. That's a tough choice, and that goes to show how much nobody really knows what to expect from Geno Smith.
No, they really don't. I saw some flashes of some crazy shit.
Yeah.
Like that last couple of drives.
The 98-yard drive?
Like the way he was moving around the pocket, like weaving around. Like those are good signs. I like what I saw. But then you're going to get 2 turnovers a game probably.
Yeah.
Maybe not this immediate game. Actually, yeah, this next game, I'm going to call it. There's going to be at least 1 turnover from Geno Smith.
I expect a strip sack fumble this game.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's not bad.
That's my bold prediction. TJ Watt. I'll even give you the name. TJ Watt with the strip sack fumble.
Yeah. The tale of caution here is the Steelers offense. And I'm looking at the spread and it's -5 and there's no way I'm taking the Steelers -5. There's no way. I'm just staying away from this game.
Yeah.
And Big Ben, he had this comeback performance after some terrible weeks, and part of it was because they were able to establish the run game. The offensive line kind of held up and did its, but there's a lot of ifs there that I would need to see on a consistent basis for me to say, okay, the Steelers look good. I know they're playing the Seahawks, whose defense looks terrible.
They're 32nd in defense.
Yeah,
I'm gonna start calling Big Ben average Ben if he can't win this game.
That sounds. I mean, at this point.
I think if they literally run the exact same game plan they ran last week, they're going to absolutely destroy the Seahawks, man. The Seahawks defense can't stop anybody right now.
No.
They cannot stop anybody. Najee Harris is on the up and up. He's got so much momentum right now, and they are only starting to just feed him 20 carries.
I mean, the Steelers are 31st in rushing, and now they figured out how to run the ball properly, possibly. We have sample size of 1 game to go off of.
Yeah.
But it's the Steelers.
Yeah.
There's certain organizations that you kind of just know they're going to kind of figure something out.
Yep.
We're not looking at the Jaguars.
Nope.
There's not going to be 20 straight losses here.
Yeah.
I know how they're 31st in rushing, 27th in offense, it's 19th in passing. None of these are good numbers, but that something's going to get fixed somewhere.
Yep.
Yeah. There's one bright light for Seattle, and it's their third down defense, which is kind of average, 12th in the NFL.
That's the bright spot.
The red zone defense is 6th in the NFL.
Okay. So bend don't break type of defense mentality there.
Or people just score before they get to the red
yeah,
zone.
or it's just all deep bum touchdowns.
This is very.
They are 32nd in defense.
Yeah, I mean, again, if there's a game for the Steelers to build a momentum off of after that win last week, this is the game. Get to 3-3 here. Take care of business at home against a battered Seahawks team that has literally not played a lick of defense. So I like the Steelers. 5 seems high, again, for a team with so many offensive question marks. And at any point, with an offensive line that could implode, that could change the complete narrative of the game. But at the same time, I still expect the Steelers to win the game.
Yeah. Big Ben's hips can't lie, so we can
Monday Night Football is going to be another great game. Anytime Buffalo's on this season, it is a must-watch. The Buffalo Bills, 4-1, are traveling to the Tennessee Titans, take on the Titans, who are 3-2. Bills are favored by 5.5. Over/under is 54. Bills, shut up a lot of haters last week, I feel like, with the fact that a lot of people were still saying their defense isn't legit because of the sample size, the teams they played, etc. I feel like we were all pretty bought in on the Bills' defense and their legitimacy, and they proved it against a Chiefs offense. So at this point, Like, they've already proved it against, in my eyes, obviously an offense that's fumbling right now, but on paper, when push comes to shove, I'm going to pick the Chiefs offense over just about any offense in the league when in crunch time, and they completely shut them down. I mean, I know there were other factors involved, but the Bills came out and just made a statement. So now it's like you're going a step down in terms of offense with the Titans. I know they're getting their receivers back. That's huge for them. Derrick Henry's been absolutely on a tear, but why would the Bills not have the same results as last week, if not better?
There's no reason. There's no reason for them to have terrible results this game. They're like in the top 10 in every category you can think of. 8th in offense, 1st in defense, 9th in passing, 5th in rushing, and they're only 9th and 5th is because their defense also scores. They have other ways of scoring the ball. They're just like, they play perfect football. They have been playing perfect football so far. And they're going up against 26th passing team at 21st in defense. All they really do is use Derrick Henry, and I don't know if this is the kind of game where you expect to just run Derrick Henry to the ground. That's not a good formula here. And the wide receivers that are coming back, they're still hobbled. They're not 100%. Julio Jones is old as hell. I kind of wish he just retired right now just to end it off with a bang. I'm sure he'll get some touchdowns throughout the season, but Julio Jones is not if you can't be productive if you're not on the field. And AJ Brown was on a snap count last week. We don't know if he's off that snap count. So all these factors playing against Tennessee, and then you have just a team coming off of beating the Chiefs. I don't know about this one.
Yeah, so you said it right. The Bills are number 1 pass defense. They're top 5 in sacks with 14, top 5 in pressure allowed to the quarterback. And the Titans are dead last in sacks.
Holy
allowed
shit.
sacks. The 20.
So
Josh Allen's going to have 45 seconds to throw the football.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, pretty much. So I just don't see how the Titans. I mean, the Titans have to, like you said, give the Derrick Henry, control the clock, and then have some plays.
I can't wait until running the ball is dead.
This is going to be a great game to either showcase one way the NFL is going, or if somehow the Titans pull off some miraculous, all the old time people were like, run first. But literally, the Titans could control the clock for 8 minutes, right? 8-minute drive. Derrick Henry gets in 1 yard score. They take a 7-0 lead. Josh Allen in one play throws an 80-yard bomb to Stephon Diggs touchdown.
Or just runs 80 yards.
Yeah, or just run, right? So all of a sudden, you got the Titans offense right back on the field. Yes, the Bills defense is tired from that 8-minute drive, but for you to expect the Titans to execute that every single time with getting 3 yards, 4 yards, the amount of plays it takes them to establish their offense versus how quickly the Bills can score. This isn't going to be the Seahawks game of 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago where the Titans were able to feed Derrick Henry in the fourth quarter and come back. The Bills will score way too quickly and one punt or stop, and then they go up 2 scores, and all of a sudden you're playing catch up. So that formula to me is not going to work against this Bills defense. So hopefully those receivers, hopefully Julio Jones has, jumps into, what's that, the fountain of youth, because he needs to, drop 5 years, and AJ Brown needs to not be on a snap count because they need all systems go to have any kind of chance to keep up with these Bills.
It's going to be tough. 0 sacks allowed last week for Josh Allen.
Allen.
I'm just expecting his pocket to be the size of Montana.
There won't be a pocket. It's just gonna be a line.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like a wall.
Yeah, it's freaking Great Wall of China in front of Josh Allen, and he's just standing there with receivers running 10 yards open. Dawson Knox, Cole Beasley, Emmanuel Sanders, Stephon Diggs. Dude, Singletary, even Moss will get involved. It's just, there's no way the Titans are winning this game. I will go on record. There's no way the Titans are winning this game. There's just no way. They're not winning it. So that's Monday Night Football. That should be a good game. Hopefully the Titans can hang around. We should see a ton of points, which a lot of these primetime games have been exactly that. Let's end the show with our final segment. We are going to pick our survivor picks for week 6. So far, we have Shashot at 4-1, Shovit at 4-1. I am at 5-0. This week, I believe I am going first. I have already taken the Panthers. I've taken the Bucs. I've taken the Titans. I've taken the Bills, and I've taken the Vikings. So let's scroll through real quick and make a quick prediction here.
This is harder when we're doing on the fly.
Oh, I like it more. It's just snap judgment call. I don't like that. I don't like that. I kind of like that. Don't like that. God, man, there's so many question marks on the Giants. The Rams seem like such an easy take here. God, especially if it's Mike Glennon and stuff. Let's see. Is there anything else I like here? Nope. You know what? I'm going to take the Rams.
All right. So I am up next, and I am taking the Chiefs over the Washington football team.
I like
All right. So I'm up. Okay. Man.
Shova, you've taken the Vikings, you've taken the Browns, you've taken the Cardinals, you've taken the Jets, and you've taken the Bucs.
All right. Well, you know what? I'm going to take the Buffalo Bills.
Nice.
Ooh, I like it.
Yep.
Cool.
Wow, Monday night. I love Monday night survivors. That's going to be awesome. Perfect. So I got the Rams, you got the Chiefs, and you have the Bills. Again, those are our survivor picks for Week 6. That wraps up this Episode 11, Week 6 preview. Again, recapping Thursday night with a great game. Stick around for social media tomorrow, which is Friday, Saturday. Injury updates are going to be just coming right at you. So turn your notifications on if you follow us, because, again, that's going to be the quickest way you're going to get it and the quickest way you can jump into your fantasy lineups and make the necessary changes. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We will see you guys on Monday.
Yep.
Monday, we are the only playbook, and have a great weekend, guys.